Hi and welcome to the channel. This is just a quick little video taken that I'm going to do just to talk about a training method that I find that I use all the time, particularly use it very much with baby puppies. It's also very, very good to use with dogs that are slightly reactive, and I certainly have one of those here. Dogs that are being presented with a new situation and they're barking, carrying on, and you don't want them to do that. So it's a really weird mix of some bat training, some classical counter conditioning, and just like a hodgepodge of methods. I've been training dogs for well over 50 years. I've been training them since I was 8, and I'm just about to turn 63. And I've studied all sorts of different dog training methods over that time. I am a Cert 4 positive reward-based dog trainer, but I have in the past, before I found out about positive reward, done the old jerk and check on check chains and done alpha rolls and all of the sort of stuff that we now consider past tense, or not most of us do, not all of us do, but most of us do. So I try and make all of my dog training now based around positive reward. I'm not going to sit here and be hypocritical and tell you I don't occasionally use a water spray bottle, and I don't occasionally not yell at the dogs when it's 2 a.m. in the morning and they've decided to arc up at what is probably a very legitimate reason to arc up. But anyway, so this one is based around, I'm just trying to find the file. It's based around using treats to change behavior. And change behavior in the fact that I come from a place of thinking that what we want to do, where possible, is ignore the negative behavior and reward for the behavior when it becomes what we want it to become. Now, I made this up today because I'm usually just end up with it with treats being just their dry dog food. But if I want to up the ante, and particularly if I'm really focusing on a very difficult problem, what I tend to do is do a much more higher value treat mix than I do with just dry dog food. I mean, most of my dogs will work for dry dog food. They're quite happy with it. It's just a normal kibble that they get in their dinner every night. It's either Supercoat or it's Maker's. I'm trying to think of Nature's Gift. Or Baxter's. It can be a range of things. It's never ever really expensive stuff, but this is the sort of treat group that I make up. So it's a combination of chopped up very finely, chopped up cheese. This is just Woolworths no name, tasty cheese. But the trick is it's chopped up into small portions. I'm not aiming to feed the dog. I'm aiming to just use the morsel of food. So there's chopped, sometimes slivers of cheese. There's clunkers, which are these ones here in the middle. There's a pack of clunkers. They're available for Woolworths, Coles, and probably IGA and most other places. I do like to use the lamb one because it's got some nice garlic and things in it. And just to dry dog food. Nothing fancy. And as you can see, the dry dog food is obviously not changed. This is the clunkers when they're whole. So I cut them into thirds or halves, depending on the size of it. And I mix all that together and put it into a container. I have a reason to go and buy Maltese containers, you see, doing this. So I'll just put that on pause for a moment. I mix them all together into any sort of container. I do like the Maltese containers or the M&M containers because they're small. I can pop them around in various places around the house so that I've got them. They're easy for me to pick up and cart with. I do have issues with disability with my hands. And the dogs are very aware of what this container is all about. Most of my dogs, the minute I go and pick up this container, it's bright red, which they don't see as red, but that's a whole nother story. But it's the minute I go and pick it up, they go, oh, we know what's in that. And also when you have the treats in there, particularly with the dry dog food, when you shake this container, so never fill it to the brim, but when you shake this container, it makes a really good noise. So most of the dogs are conditioned to actually hearing the shake noise. So I can be lying in bed with the treat container next to me, hopefully not somewhere where they can get while I'm in bed. And if something happens and they start to arc up at 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning, usually there's a possum outside or a cat outside, or God forbid there's someone sort of lurking around the areas doing break-ins. I don't necessarily have to feed them. What I often will do is just shake the container, and that's the good. That's a what that means is they come running from wherever they are. They usually shut up as they're doing it, and they come and literally sit on the bed. Sometimes I'll reward depending on how sleepy I am, and depending on how good the recall was from whatever they came away from. The thing about using these sorts of treats, and why, if we just go back to this video a minute, we'll just go back a bit. Why the mix? I'm trying to find the right bit in the video. The mix is because the dogs are not going to know. There it is. Why the mix? The mix is because the dogs are not going to know what value treat they're getting. They might get a piece of dry kibble. They might get a piece of chunkers, clunkers. They might get a piece of cheese. Sometimes I'll add dried liver in there as well, but again, very tiny slivers of it. Some dogs will, love the cheese more than the clunkers, but other dogs that just really love the dry dog food. So when I'm just putting my hand in there to grab a treat or a handful of treats, I'm getting a mix. So there's various levels of rewards going on. It's not just all the same reward. And that makes the dogs generally work harder. And it also takes away from me always giving the really high value one. It puts a degree of probability within it. So mix it all together. Showing you it again. Of course, I'll just grab a handful. That's what one big size clunker is. And that's what the handful looks like when it's out together. And the dogs were really happy when I was making this mix together because I kept dropping bits. Okay, so when do I use something like this? Unfortunately, today I really couldn't get the best time I would really use it, which is when I've got a dog barking at a door because something's going on outside and I want the bark. I'm allowing them to, I'm happy for them to look out the door. I'm happy for them to go, woof, woof, mum, there's something out there that shouldn't be out there or that you need attention to, but then I want it to stop. So this is where the BAT, behaviour adaptation therapy, behaviour adaptation training comes into it. Then this is by Grisha Stewart, a lady who I've been lucky enough to meet, and also has been around in the dog training world for many years. Based around the principle is that when we were not positive reward-based trainers, we made the dogs do something different. As distinct from a lot of the methods I use now is I reward when the dog chooses to do something different. And the choice has to come from them, not from me. So, I mean, I could certainly go over to this girl. This is Cece. Unfortunately, my handyman has not been around over most of December and January. So I have a problem with a section of the back of, this isn't the back fence, this is an internal bit of the fence where we spend most of our days. But they can get through. Cece and Callie like to actually get through there, and that then gives them access by the back of the lot. There's another big fence behind this. I've made it so they can't get into next door where the big dogs live, or not live, but big dogs come and stay and can actually kill them. But from here, they then have free access to the road and into the back of next door's property. So I spent half my life seemingly dog-proofing fences. Unfortunately, this, as you can see, the hodgepodge of bits of wood sitting there. Both Callie and Cece, if I let them stay there for even literally 30 seconds, they will dig their way through that. The lizards tend to hang around in the alleyway out behind it, and these two love lizards. So what I'm trying to do is get both of them. It was just Cece that happened to be the one that went up to here for this video. I want her to understand that the action of going up to here and not digging through it, going up to here, having a look by all means, doing no more than what she's doing, and then choosing to move away and not dig through that, nice things are going to happen. So let's have a little quick look at what nice thing happens. And what I want you to note in this is there is no sound on this video. I've taken the sound off, but there is no sound. When I'm actually doing this, I was just sitting in a chair further back from where she was, and I was just sitting there holding the video and holding the treats. I'm not going to say anything to her. I'm not going to say, Cece, come away. Cece, don't do that. Stop. Anything, because those things don't work. But watch what I do instead. So she's alerted. She's looked. She started to come back, and all of a sudden, treats out of that container that I had start to rain at her. And she says, "Oh, actually, this is more interesting over here than it is trying to get through that spot." And of course, the other dogs come and join in for the fun of it, which also I don't mind. Now, this video is running on together. So what I'm ultimately moving towards, I am going to fix this part of the fence. So, you know, there's not an issue here. But until I do that, what I want particularly the two escape artists to understand is that what's more interesting doing down in that back corner is hunting for nice treats, not breaking out through the fence. So I'm going to spend the next 3, 4, maybe 5 days, every time I go out there, just putting nice treats down. They just take that container I've made up and throw those down. And what happens over time, and it's usually a very short period of time because these dogs are very heavily food rewarded and very heavily food motivated, over a period of time, they learn to just go there and not do the behaviour Cece was doing a minute ago, which was looking through, how do I get through this fence? But they learn to just go down there and search for treats. The treats they're not handed to them. There's what I call scatter fed, which is they're just scattered over an area. An odd treat, got to be very careful. An odd treat might land within some of that wood, so I've got to be careful not to put them in a position where they're actually going to dig for it. But they're gonna be more focused on, every time I come over here, something really good happens, which is these really nice treats are over here. So, I don't really need to go through the fence. What I need to do is sit over here. There might be treats over here again. And I become a little bit then unpredictable about whether the treats are always there or not. Sometimes I'll sit, my actual outdoor furniture is not far from this spot, so I might sit there occasionally. I'll move to sitting there occasionally, and every time they go down towards that area, I'll preempt a look through the fence with throwing them some treats, and probably a little bit further back here than where I was when I was throwing them during this training exercise. And it doesn't hurt that the other dogs are getting to go down there and find nice stuff as well. And Callie, who's the blonde cavoodle on the very far right against the wall, she is a real escape artist. And the fact that she's down here hunting for the treats is really good, because normally she would be down here and actually really trying to get to the fence. So Cece went back up again. More treats rain from the sky. Ultimately, over time, she should be spending less time looking through the fence. So initially it will be go down, look through the fence, treats will rain from the sky, she will eat the treats. Then it'll come to the point where she'll go down and not even bother, like she'll look through the fence for maybe 2 seconds and then start to look for the treats to rain from the sky. She's going to preempt the behaviour. And then eventually, hopefully, she'll get to the stage where looking through the fence is now become so boring because treats are more important. So when would I use this sort of process? As I say, I've always got them around in a container like this, or I also sometimes use the smaller, ice cream containers. Small containers is always the go. What sort of applications would I use this in? Obviously that one where they're alerting to something outside, or they're going to do something outside of the area and I don't want them to. Another really good time to use this is a bit more on what we call classical counter conditioning. So I was involved in a situation this week where a new puppy was brought into a house, and the new puppy wanted to bark at the existing dog, and the existing dog was getting scared and going and hiding. The existing dog is 6 years old. The new puppy is a puppy. And with classical counter conditioning, what happens is we use something really nice and we pair something really nice with something that is scary or they're unsure about. So in this case, the puppy didn't know about this other dog, wasn't sure about this other dog, and was treating this other dog as a big scary monster. The other dog was not sure about the puppy and was being fearful of the puppy. So what I'm going to instruct the owner to do, and it's probably one of the main reasons for actually cutting this video, was to sit there with the treats. When the pup and the other dog are interacting together, even if there's barking going on, while they're both in eye contact with each other, not when the older dog has gone hidden, but when they're in eye contact with each other, for both dogs to get a handful of these mixed treats thrown behind them. So what that's got to happen is that will break eye contact between the two dogs, and it will also mean that the pup and the older dog will understand that when they see each other, good things happen, and they will start to say, oh, therefore, the pup will say, therefore, oh, this dog must be okay because it predicts the application of really yummy stuff. Now, in that case, the mix of cheese to clunkers to liver to dry dog food must be really heavily on the side of really, really high value reinforcers. If either of those particular dogs have a reinforcer that's a food item in particular that's really, really, really very, very high value for them, but not big. I don't want a chicken neck or something like that. I want really small slivers. Maybe they really love Devon or Cabanossi or, I don't know, or peanut butter. It really doesn't matter. Peanut butter is a little harder to apply though, because it's sort of harder to dispense, although I have actually put peanut butter on spoons and things and use that. But the idea is we don't want the humans getting in the way of this interaction. We want basically pup sees older dog, something really nice happens behind pup, so pup turns around. They can't bark and eat at the same time, trust me. Pup turns around, eats. Older dog, also same thing happens, hopefully simultaneously. Older dog sees the pup. Older dog gets the really nice treats behind them. They turn around, eye contact is broken, and therefore some of the sort of negative canine communication stuff that's going on. And the older dog also goes, oh, gee, life ain't so bad when this thing that's come into my house is here, and gets less fearful of it and is less inclined to go and hide. And then, of course, over time, the value of the treats can get less, and eventually you shouldn't need to do it at all. Other times, when would I use it? Basically, if you've got a dog barking outside, I've used it at night when I've got dogs that won't go to sleep. I've used it for the issue of so pups I tend to pen up. Young pups I tend to pen up because otherwise they want to have a lovely play session at 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning. Seems to be the bewitching hour. I want them, when I say go to bed, I want them to voluntarily get up and walk into the pen where they sleep. So a handful of these, and as I'm saying go to bed, I get up, walk across to the door to the pen area, throw a handful of these in there. They then start to associate the go to bed command with, oh wow, when we do go to bed, something really, really nice is going to happen. And then they'll be, when I say go to bed, trust me, they're going to be over there faster than I can spread the treats. If they are in there at night and they start to arc up in the middle of the night, then a handful of these thrown into the pen again will work the same way. So I find this a really, really, really versatile training method. Can be used virtually everywhere. It's if you're feeding a lot of this during the day, then obviously cut back on their main meal. In fact, I don't like using dog bowls if I can avoid it. This whole thing of using dog bowls and them only getting a meal in the morning and a meal in the evening, and it's to me, quite a waste of a very valuable resource. And people always say to me, oh, my dogs don't like kibble. Well, trust me, you do this. And, they will like kibble. My dogs will work. I could do a container of this just straight out dry kibble, and they would think it's wonderful because they're working to get it. So I hope that's useful. If there's anything you want to know about doing this, or you want to send me a video of your dog and say, what do I do in this circumstance? Pop it into the comments below. And please remember to like the channel, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications button. I do go live with my animal reading every Sunday, New South Wales time, Sydney time at 1:30ish or so p.m. But then other times I will do ad hoc live videos, or there is also something like 209, 210 now, videos of other things I have recorded over the years that you are free to go and have a little sticky pick of. Thanks for joining me.